When I look back at my high school basketball career, the one thing that really bugs me is how easily I could have scored more points. With a ton of hard work and dedication, I ended up playing Division I basketball and I now play professionally. But now that I compete at these really high levels of the sport, honestly, I cringe when I watch high school basketball games today. And that's because I know I could have been a much better offensive player with just a few extra skills and a shift in my mentality. So in this video, I'm breaking down how you can become your team's leading scorer, and to help visualize this, I'm using a simple pyramid. At the bottom are the 3 basic things that every player can do right now to score more. In the middle are what I think are 2 very underrated skills that can separate you from most players. And at the top is the one thing that truly sets elite scorers apart. To be clear, this only applies to players who are putting in the work every day and have a foundation of skills to begin with. I promise you, there are no shortcuts in your basketball journey. And before we get into it, let me know how many points you averaged last season and how many points you're hoping to average in this coming year. So let's start at the bottom, the non-negotiables. These are the 3 aspects of scoring that every great offensive player takes advantage of. At some point, you will come to the realization that you will never score more points, you will never become the top scorer on your team, if you only play the right way and are not consistently looking to be aggressive. So most players who are watching this simply don't shoot enough. It's a difficult truth, but if you want to lead your team in scoring, you have to take more shots. But don't worry, I'm going to show you 3 ways to do this that don't hurt your team and don't make you look like a ball hog. The first and most obvious situation you have to be taking advantage of is in transition. I'm from New Jersey, where unfortunately there is still no shot clock at the high school level. Honestly, this sucks because I think it holds players back from playing fast, which is the easiest way to score more points. If I could go back to my own time in high school, I'd like to imagine that we were playing with a 24-second shot clock. This way, instead of walking the ball up the court slowly and then calling out a set, when I got a rebound or an outlet pass, I'd immediately look to score. I don't care how short or tall you are. If you want to play at the next level, you need to be able to get a rebound and push the ball. And there are a few reasons why it is so valuable to get out on the break. First, defenses usually aren't set in transition, and at the high school level, kids just run back and look for their man. They don't even worry about the ball. A quick lesson in transition defense that you'll learn hopefully in high school, but definitely at the college level, is that there are no matchups. You have to stop the ball first and then build a wall to prevent these easy opportunities. Luckily for you, most high school teams either don't teach this or aren't disciplined enough to execute it in a game. So one of 2 things could happen. First, you might be able to attack a player one-on-one without any help. There aren't many other situations over the course of a game where this is the case because in the half court, the defense is set. Now, this is where your training comes into play. You need to be working on 1 or 2 high-level downhill moves that work for you so that when you have the opportunity to attack that backpedaling defender, you aren't hesitating. Instead, you use a push cross or a hezi to instinctively blow by them. The second thing that might happen is the defense will be cross-matched. Maybe the big man has to pick you up, leading to an advantageous matchup. Use your quickness and change of direction skills to leave them in the dust. Or you're a taller player and a small guard is in front of you. This might seem like a disadvantage for you, but it's not. You can bully them, get to the rim, and score over them. You can channel your inner Giannis on these kind of plays. And this leads me to the next situation that elite players take advantage of every single time: mismatches. Now, this could be in transition like we just talked about, but more often than not, you can manipulate the defense to get the matchup you want in the half court. It's pretty simple. If you are a savvy player, about 2 to 3 minutes in the game, you should be able to tell me who the strongest defender, and more importantly, who the weakest defender is on the other team. And that weak one, that's who's getting put into the blender. Let's say the shaky defender is guarding your teammate Jack over in the corner. Here's all you gotta do. Hold the ball at the top of the key and tell Jack to come up and set you a ball screen. Now, there are a few things that could happen. I mean, there are all types of ball screen defenses, but at the high school level, most likely they will just switch, and especially if it's a guard-to-guard screen. And I think you know what I'm gonna say next. Go to work on that kid. Use the skills you are training every day to get by that weak defender. Then it's all about making a simple read. First, you attack to score, which is very important. Then, only if you get cut off or draw help do you make the simple pass and get your teammate a wide open shot. But if you look to pass first when you beat that first defender, then I'm sorry, you probably won't be leading your team in scoring next year. Which leads me directly to the third non-negotiable, shooting. Great scorers, they don't overcomplicate things. If they are open, they shoot the ball. And that is why, if you've been watching my videos, you know I always say you need to be working on your shot every day. It's the main reason I was able to play in college and now play professionally. It's the #1 skill that will help you achieve your goal. So my non-negotiables, play fast. I don't care if sometimes you have a turnover or force a shot at the rim. The more you can put pressure on the defense, the more valuable you become on offense and the more you will score. And second, find those weak defenders. I was playing pickup at a local high school the other night just for fun, and there were almost too many weak defenders to choose from. I promise they're out there in every game. And finally, when you are open, shoot the damn ball. I'm sick of watching hardworking, talented players pass up open threes. All right, let's get into the middle section of the pyramid. I want to talk to you about a couple underrated skills, maybe even slightly controversial skills that will get you more easy points. But before I do that, if you want to get the most out of your basketball journey, you could apply to join our Hacking Hoops community, a place where hoopers from all over the world are interacting and learning. More info is in this video's description. So of course, in this section, I could talk about cutting or getting offensive rebounds or attacking closeouts, but let's have a little bit more fun. The first underrated skill I want to talk about is the leak out. And there is an art to leaking out in the right way. I'm not talking about cherry picking, like just waiting at the other end of the court and not playing defense. Of course, that will get you benched. Leaking out in the right way for easy layups has a lot to do with situation and timing. The most obvious situation where it might make sense is when you're contesting a shot towards the top of the key. Now, you don't want to contest and then just immediately sprint down the court and wait for your team to get the rebound. Instead, after you contest, you slowly creep your way up the court while keeping an eye on the play. If the other team gets an offensive rebound, you need to be close enough to get back and defend. But if a teammate secures a defensive rebound, you also need to be in a position to sprint up the court and get that easy layup. And these leakouts can also happen off turnovers. This is where the incredibly underrated skill of reaction time becomes important. If you can react more quickly than your opponent, I know it sounds simple, but you can get easy points. As soon as you see a teammate collect the ball on a turnover, boom, you are gone. You are flying down the floor, probably jumping up and down to show them just how open you are, and then hopefully getting an easy layup or dunk. The next skill that I got really good at in college is actually gambling for steals. Again, this could be seen as giving bad advice, and I'm not gonna argue with you, but I'm trusting my audience. I think sometimes you gotta go against the grain to increase your basketball IQ. If you can learn to read passing lanes effectively, I really believe you can get 1 and maybe even 2 easy layups a game by going for steals. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you will get beat. Sometimes you might even get yelled at by your coach. Don't worry, you can blame me. But in college and even in my first 2 pro seasons overseas, I've averaged about 2 steals a game. Imagine if I had the intelligence back in high school to know how to gamble for steals. I bet I could have gotten 4 extra points a game because the reality is high school players are throwing so many lazy passes. Now, leaking out and gambling for steals probably sounds like terrible advice. It sounds like I'm trying to get you benched, but this is all about context. You have to use these underrated skills intelligently and only in situations where you're basically certain it's gonna lead to an easy basket. Imagine that your IQ and just a little bit of risk taking leads to 6 to 8 more points a game. All of a sudden, you go from a 15 point per game scorer to over 20 points a game. That could be the difference between a solid high school player and a college scholarship. And the final piece to becoming an elite scorer is actually not a skill you can measure. It's how you carry yourself on the court. Think about the last time you played a live game or pickup, or even just a one-on-one, and you completely dominated. I mentioned this earlier, but for me, it was the other day when I was playing pickup with those high school kids. There were some solid players there, some current high school kids, and even some college alumni. But as the only pro in the gym, I was clearly the best player. And I carried myself like it, not by showboating or talking trash to anyone, but in my aggressiveness and my confidence. Whether I made or missed a shot, the very next possession, I was still attacking. I was still hunting my opportunities. The best scorers in the world, guys like James Harden and Steph and Kevin Durant, they bring that same energy every single game. They have this quiet confidence that everyone on the court can feel. And some days I tap into that feeling, but a big goal for me in the future of my basketball career is to tap into that more consistently. So here's my advice. Every time you step on the court, court, carry yourself like the best player out there. Keep that same aggressive energy even when you make mistakes or miss shots. Because every great player you've ever watched, Steph, KD, anyone, has had bad shooting nights. What separates elite scorers is that their mentality never wavers. Okay, except maybe James Harden in the playoffs sometimes. But over time, your teammates and your coaches will naturally start to see you as the best player. Every team needs attacking players to be successful, so why not let that be you? Look guys, unfortunately you can't just snap your fingers and become your team's leading scorer. That's not how this game works, and that's not how life works. In my last 2 years of high school, I did lead my high school team in scoring, but it wasn't even because of the things I'm talking about in this video. It was because I worked my ass off, and if you aren't doing that, then I really don't know what to tell you. But for those of you who are waking up early to train and are getting extra shooting workouts in, and are lifting consistently and sleeping well, doing all the things that it takes to be great, but you're still not seeing the results that you want, then this information will almost certainly help take your game to the next level. Reminder to check out the Hacking Hoops community where you can get more tips and info like this directly from me. And if you want to see exactly what I've been doing this summer, check out this video on how I'm preparing for year 3 as a professional. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.